Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon, Department of English, VSST College, Kanpur. We are dealing with the paper Linguistics, and in this module number 29, changes in the meanings of words, written by Mr. Ronak Roy of Hyderabad University. He is there, the independent scholar. In this particular module of linguistics, when we say changes in the meaning of words, we are here referring three words: changes, then meaning, and then words. We all know what the change is, we all know what the meanings are, and what are the words. Whenever we deal with words in linguistics, that come under the head semantic. Now, when the words, there is a change in the meaning of the words, what does it imply? Are the words going to change? Or the meaning is getting changed? It is narrowing or it is widening? What are the various theories? How to bring that change? And what is the meaning of bringing that change? Why are we studying it? Such questions will be answered in this particular module. Semantic change deals with change in meaning, understood to be a change in the concepts associated with the word, and has nothing to do with change in the phonetic form of the word. In historical linguistics, semantic change is a change in the meaning of a word. A word may develop a variety of senses and connotations, or meaning can be added, removed, or altered over time across space and time. None of these changes happened overnight. As it was said by George Yule in the book The Study of Language, 4th edition, Cambridge University Press, published in 2010. He said, "They were gradual and probably difficult to discern while they were in progress." Unquote. Attention also provides an account of the causes of language change. Attention in 2001 writes, I quote, "Change is likely to be triggered by social factors such as fashion, foreign influence, and social need. However, these factors cannot take effect unless the language is ready for a particular change." Unquote. They simply make use of inherent tendencies which reside in the physical and mental makeup of human beings. Causality therefore needs to be explored on a number of different levels. The immediate trigger must be looked at alongside the underlying propensities of the languages concerned and of human languages in general. Let us understand it in a better way with certain more examples of semantic change. For example, the word pen originally meant feather or quill. The word pen, pen, with which we write, originally it meant feather or quill. That is a loan word from Old French pen, P-E-N-N-E, feather or the writing quill. But as time changed, it refers to instruments for writing we use today. Now, if you remember, and you must have seen the old movies or something like that, then you could have noticed that the pen they used to write with, it contains frill, or you can say some feather kind of thing with it. So it was associated with that also. In the meantime, what happened? Pen word remains same, but the object is changed. The change in the meaning took place. Every day we are having so many varieties of pen. The pen as a thing remains same. Similarly, the word bow, that is, or arrow, you can say, an instrument, shifted to mean gun in many languages. Above examples point toward the fact that words of a language change their meaning completely or partially over time. Schematically, a semantic change can be represented in three stages, beginning with form A, which has meaning a. Stage 1 is A, stage 2 is A, B, stage 3 a, B. Examples. In stage 1, write means A to cut. In stage 2, write A to cut, scratch B to write. In stage 3, write B to write, that is modern English. So A is equal to write, capital A is equal to cut, and B is equal to write. In the above example, in stage 1, write means to cut. In stage 2, the meaning was extended to include both to cut, scratch and to write. The connection is through writing, which was carved or scratched on wood and stone. This stage is attested in Old English to write, that is WRITAN, to write or to cut. Stage 3 is illustrated by modern English, where write meaning to write only, where the sense of to cut has been lost. Now there are various ways of and types of semantic change. One is widening or extension. Second is narrowing or specialization, you can say restriction. The third is degeneration. Fourth is elevation, hyperbole, litios, euphemism and taboo. Let us discuss them one by one. The first one that we are supposed to pay attention to, that is widening or extension. Extension or widening is a semantic change where a lexeme widens its meaning. For example, in Hindi, chaupahiya was earlier used for railway wagons, but now it is also used for any four-wheeler for that matter. Dog. English dog first appeared with the more specific meaning of a specific powerful breed of dog, which generalized to include all breeds or races of dogs. Salary. Latin salarium was a soldier's allotment of salt based on Latin sal, salt, which then came to mean a soldier's wages in general, and then finally as in English, wages in general, not just a soldier's pay. It is salary for everyone. It is not just restricted to the salary of the soldier. In the same way, Spanish caballero, CABALLERO, originally rider horseman, expanded to include also gentleman, man of upper society, since only men of means could afford to be riders of horses. So it was that meaning was included in this particular word. Now there is another thing, narrowing or specialization or restriction. Narrowing or specialization is where a lexeme becomes more specialized in meaning. Example, in Hindi, bahu was earlier used for any young girl, but now it is narrowed and used only for daughter-in-law. Fowl in Old English referred to any bird. Subsequently, the meaning of this word was narrowed to a bird raised for food or a wild bird hunted for sport. Accident means an unintended injuries or disastrous event. Its original meaning was just any event, especially one that was unforeseen. Art, a very common word, originally had some very general meanings, mostly connected to skill. Today it refers just to certain kinds of skill, chiefly in relation to aesthetic skills, the arts. Mistress. Mistress, the word mistress came into English from the French maîtresse, MAISTRESSE, in the 14th century and referred to a woman who was in charge of a household or a child. By the early 15th century, it was being used in English to refer to the kept woman of a married man. The second woman in the life of a married man was used as mistress. The woman who is not wife may be termed as mistress, and it was used in a very derogatory term. Then another way is degeneration, or also known as pejoration. A word acquires some negative derogatory connotations. For example, in Hindi, chachundar, a mole. Earlier it was name of an animal, but now it is used for shrew. Amelioration, that is elevation of a word. Rising of a word in status is called amelioration or elevation. It is derived from Latin melior, meaning better, like pretty. Old English pretty was crafty or sly. Now fond, past participle of Middle English fonen, to be foolish or silly. But now the word has elevated in status, the meaning has changed, and now it is being used in some different senses. Hyperbole. It is a bold overstatement or the extravagant exaggeration of the fact or the possibility. It may be used for serious or ironic or comic effect. For example, in Hindi language, मुझे लगता है मैं घोड़ा खा लेता, इतनी भूख लगी है. In English, I think I am so hungry I could eat a horse. The person doesn't mean eating a horse, but he tend to say so because of hunger. So it is a hyperbole that he could anything and he could eat so much. He wanted to just express that. So it is, this hyperbole is also used to express the change in meaning. A literal is a special form of understatement, that is the Greek for plain or simple, the assertion of an affirmative by negating its contrary. It is used to reveal grim reality. Mahatma Gandhi छोटे नेता नहीं. That means Mahatma Gandhi was not a small leader. What he wanted to say, what he is speaking, he wants to say that he was a big leader. In the same way, when it was said she is not bad looking, which implies yes, of course she is a very good looking lady. So negatives are being used to create the positive effect. We have euphemism. Euphemism is a generally innocuous, not likely to irritate or offend someone. It is a word or expression used in place of one that may be found offensive or suggest something unpleasant. वो परीक्षा में सफल नहीं हो सका. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? It means that he failed. His father passed away. That is one way of saying. Another way, उनके पिताजी अब नहीं रहे. His father is no more. So these are different way of saying the same thing. That is change in the word, but the meaning is almost same, and but used in such a way not to offend anyone. Then taboo. Words often are prohibited from being used. This could be due to many socio-cultural reasons. Like in Hindi, the word veshya or prostitute is not to be used in any circumstances by the educated class. This is something considered as part of abusive language, and so it is a taboo to speak or to call someone by this word. Now let us talk about results of semantic change. We know that these are the reasons why semantic change had taken place. We discussed that. Now what is the result of this semantic change? It is possible to classify some of the results of semantic change under headings familiar from sound change. Broadening and narrowing of meanings and ameliorization and pejorization are some of them. Semantic shifts often tend to lead merely to the broadening or narrowing of the range of meanings. Broadening of meaning means a word increases its range of meaning over time, resulting in an expansion of meaning. An example of semantic broadening or extension of meaning is the word virus, which earlier referred only to a microorganism, and that is now popularly used to denote various malicious softwares. Narrowing of meaning. In semantic narrowing, a word acquires a specialized sense in which it is applicable only to some of the objects it had previously denoted, or a word of wide usage is restricted in its application and comes to be used only in a special sense. In the opposite of broadening, as the meaning of a word becomes restricted from a general to particular sense. For example, the word meat, which derives from Middle English mete, with the general meaning of food, and now restricted to animal flesh. Ameliorization involves a shift to more positive connotation, whereas pejorization involves shifting to a more negative connotation. The word nice has achieved its modern meaning by amelioration from the earlier sense foolish or silly. I will like to just draw your attention that the word nice, usually in the Middle Ages, in the past age, it was considered, the meaning of the word considered foolish or silly. But now the nice means something good. So altogether the meaning of the word has changed. The word knave, K-N-A-V-E, has the negative meaning scoundrel, but it comes from the more neutral word used for boy or servant in Old English. This is known as pejorization. It is observed that semantic changes do not occur at random. On the contrary, it is observed that these changes can be categorized quite systematically on the basis of their tendency to shift or change. Some of the general tendencies of semantic change are as follows. Semantically related words often undergo parallel semantic shifts. For example, various words which meant rapidly in Old English and Middle English shifted their meaning to immediately. Meaning is also lost through homophony, as in Old English had two verbs, allow and obstruct or hinder. These became homophonous and only the meaning allow survived. Some words may develop temporal senses before, after, behind, like Seema stood before her painting. She had to rest before dinner. So there the word before is used in different sense. The word before in the second sentence is used widely in modern English, but the first word before has different connotations. And also they often develop from body part terms, as in ahead of, in the back, at the back of, at the foot of. So all these things are used to express the position. Words having to do with the sense of touch may typically develop meanings involving the sense of taste, sharp, crisp. For example, cut, meaning having an edge or point that is able to cut or pierce something, developed to also mean producing a sudden piercing physical sensation or effect. Cut the cake with a very sharp knife. I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my back. Now, words involving the sense of taste may develop extended senses involving emotions in general, bitter, sour, sweet. For example, bitter meaning having a sharp, pungent taste or smell. Not sweet developed to also mean feeling or showing anger, hurt or resentment because of bad experiences. For example, raw berries have an intensely bitter flavor. I don't feel jealous or bitter. Now, in both the senses, in the first sentence, bitter means bitter in taste. In the second sentence, bitter means jealousy or the attitude. Physical action verbs, especially with hands, develop meanings of mental state verbs, speech act verbs. For example, verbs such as grasp, capture, get a hold on, get, catch on to, very commonly come to mean understand. Thus, feel goes from touch, feel with hands, to feel, think, have sympathy or pity for, etc. Mental state verbs develop meaning of speech act verbs, observe, to perceive, witness, to state, remark, etc. The term man develops sense of husband, and similarly woman comes to stand for wife. Man and woman, they are man and woman, means husband and wife. The term body comes to develop the sense of person, like somebody. Meanings tend to become increasingly based on speaker's subjective beliefs or state or attitude towards the proposition. Many metonymic semantic changes fall under this. Semantic shifts typically go from more concrete to more abstract. For example, there are many semantic changes which extend body part notions to more abstract meanings, but not the other way around. As with German, Haupt once meaning only head, body part, that is concrete, but now limited mostly to the meaning main or principal, as in other words like capital, that is known as town or city, or central station, that is railway station. There are some more kinds of lexical changes. Root creations, creations from nothing, like blurb, coined by G. Burgess, American humorist in 1907. Yahoo, from Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, the name created for an imaginary race of brutes with human form. You must have not forgotten the famous Hindi song Yahoo of Shammi Kapoor. So it is something like that, that the word was created, and it has been created from nothing, but now it is so well known that everybody has adopted this particular word in their own vocabulary. Acronyms we have. Acronyms are words derived from the initial letters or syllables of each of the successive parts of a compound term or word, like ASAP. Usually we understand ASAP is there to denote as soon as possible, but people who don't want to understand it, they took it ASAP means as slow as possible. Compact disk, or the CIA is Central Intelligence Agency. Compact disk is known as CD. Amalgamations are forms which formerly were composed of more than one freestanding word, which as a result of the change get bound together in a single word. For example, English nevertheless and already are new single words, but come from the amalgamation of separate words of never, the, less, and already. We know nevertheless is one word, but it is a mixture, amalgamation of three words: never, the, less. All these three words stand on their own. Then we have expressive creations. Onomatopoeia is another source of new words. Creations with only nature as a model, thought to be the source of words such as buzz, gag, and so on. Interjection, that is also known as ejaculations, are another source, exemplified by ah, oh, wow, whew, shush, and many others. And recently you must have heard yeah, that is a slang, but so many people, instead of saying yes, they prefer to say yeah. So that is also the expressive creation. Some expressive words seem to develop out of nothing, as for example, bodacious, remarkable, fabulous, and homogeneous, also spelled in a different way, that means very, very large. So just to summarize, I will like to just remind you that whenever we use words to express ourselves, we at this particular time cannot realize from where this word has come into our day-to-day language. You know, it is said, change is the only thing that is permanent. Everything gets changed. In the same way, the word changes, the meaning of the word also changes, and the word may be the language we are speaking today. After 30-40 years, maybe so many changes in meaning will take place, so many changes in spellings will take place. If you just compare the language, English language used in the 14th century, then you will find in the writings of Chaucer, or you can say that in the writings of Bacon later on in 17th century, you will find so many different words, so many different spellings and different connotations as well. That's why it becomes sometimes difficult to define that. But unless and until you understand the context, you cannot just come to the definite meaning of that particular sentence or the word. So semantics deals with the changes in the meaning of the word, and it is very interesting to understand, to do research, to survey how a particular word came into existence and how the changes taken place in that, the meaning and spelling of that particular word. Enjoy reading. Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.